Plato. So we started this book called A Little History of Philosophy. And then we're going to start from the very beginning of philosophy, Western, ancient Greek philosophy. The people who started this discipline, they're Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, according to chronological order. If you want to remember their names in an easy way, then pick the first letter of each name, SPA. Then it reads as SPA. That's the chronological order. So Socrates is the person who began the study. So he was born more than 2,400 years ago. So he lived in Greece in a city called Athens. He started philosophy. Actually, he didn't write down anything, but he had his favorite student whose name was Plato. Plato wrote down everything when he had a conversation with his teacher Socrates. So his teachings are known to us through the writings of, Plato. And then his favorite way of gaining knowledge was question and answer method. And we call that Socratic method or dialectic method. So his favorite part of the day, he would just go into the marketplace and throw random questions to young people. He would say something like, hey, Kyuhyun, what do you think justice is? Hey, Rio, what do you think courage is? And then the young people, they don't really consider that too much because it's such an obvious question to them. So they would provide a very broad answer to that. 수정해. 당연히 이거 네거죠. They're going to say that very simply. But what Socrates is going to do, he's going to come up with a counterexample that can, break down their argument. And after having a conversation with Socrates, the young people are going to realize how little they have known, how shallow their knowledge has been. Yeah, so there is an example for that. So Socrates met this young man named Euthydemus, and then he threw this question to Euthydemus. He asked, hey, Euthydemus, if you are lying to somebody, does that count as being immoral? If you deceive somebody, does that count as being immoral? And then Euthydemus didn't really consider that deeply, and then he just gave a straightforward answer. Yeah, teacher, what are you talking about? If you lie to someone, if you deceive someone, that's immoral. Then Socrates said, then consider this example, Euthydemus. Let's say your friend is about to kill himself. He's about to commit suicide. And you know where he hid his knife. So are you going to hide the knife, take away from the friend, or are you just going to do nothing about it? And then he said, teacher, of course, I'm going to, take away the knife and hide it somewhere. And then Socrates asked him, what if the friend came to you and asked where the knife is? Then he said, I'm not going to tell him the truth. I'm going to lie. And then Socrates said, then in that case, if you lie about where the knife is, then is that considered immoral? Socrates, and then the Euthydemus is looks totally confused. Well, in this case, lying is moral. You see, right? Socrates is like that. Yeah. So he always comes up a counterexample to the students so that the students would have to, break down their preconceived notions and pre-held knowledge. And he wants the students to realize that how little they have known. And to gain the true knowledge, we have to doubt from the very foundation of our knowledge. Otherwise, we won't be able to gain true knowledge. Yes. And then, so he called himself a philosopher, and we call himself a philosopher. What does a philosopher mean? What are the roots of the word? So philosopher means loving wisdom, loving knowledge. And for Socrates, a good life is knowing, differentiating between good and evil. And if one were to differentiate between good and evil, that person needs to have knowledge, right? So according to Socrates, knowledge and morality, they're closely bound together. So this is one takeaway from Socrates' teaching. This is the most important sentence. The life which is unexamined is not worth living. The life which does not question is not worth living. 질문하지 않는 삶은 가치가 없다. If you were to summarize his philosophy in one sentence, it would be that. Okay, so he likened himself as a gadfly of society. Gadfly is 쇠똥파리 that constantly attaches itself to cows and then pesters the cow, bothers and annoys the cow. And many people in Athens, though, especially the powerful people, considered him as a gadfly of society. He's so annoying. He's so bothersome because he throws questions to authority, to God, to government. So many powerful people started considering him very dangerous. They claimed that, oh, Socrates, by asking these questions, he's neglecting the Athenian gods and is encouraging the young man to behave badly and go against the leadership, go against the government. So he's corrupting the minds of the young man. You should stop asking questions, Socrates. You should just accept the gods and accept the politics as it is. And then he was brought to court. He was sentenced to death. So all the pupils, all the teachers rushed to Socrates and they tried to persuade him. Oh, teacher, could you just like say that you regret what you said and then write an apology to the judge? Then judge is going to save you. If you stop questioning, then you can save your life. But then Socrates said that, no, the life which is unexamined, the life in which I do not question is not worth living. Rather than stop questioning, I would just die and accept my death sentence. And he died, because of that. So the unexamined life is not worth living. The unquestioning life is not worth living. So I think this has a lot of significance in the modern day as well, because now we are swamped with a lot of different outlets of newses and all different kinds of news media. But if we do not question in that process, it's very important to arrive at the truth. For example, so American politics are very much polarized, right? So recently, President Trump was elected, and then there are pro-Trump media such as Fox News and anti-Trump media such as CNN News, and on the same topic, on the same issue, they tell a totally different, opposite different stories. If you were a citizen in America, or if you were a citizen in any country, in this very political polarization, if you just listen to one source, then you won't be able to arrive at the truth. You have to look at all different sources of information. You have to constantly question yourself. You have to apply your critical thinking ability. Then you'll be able to arrive at a truth somewhere in the middle. So always, I think the responsibility of modern day citizen or any citizen is constantly doubt and then constantly question and constantly look for facts and evidence so that you can have, an argument or a claim that is founded, that has basis, So I think in the modern time, this has a lot of relevance, We have to constantly question, because we cannot take anything for granted. That was Socrates. And then we're going to move on to his student, Plato, right? He wrote down all the dialogues and conversations that he had with Socrates. And then now, thanks to him, we can learn about Socrates and also himself, Plato, right? And then Plato had a very unique theory of forms. Next to forms, put a parenthesis, forms 옆에다가 괄호를 치고요. 컨셉이라고 적으셔도 되고 아니면은 개념이라고 적으셔도 돼요. 개념에 대한 이론, 컨셉에 대한 이론, 그런 거를 이 사람이 만들었거든요. 그러면 여러분 그걸 적으신 다음에 빈칸에다가 try to draw a circle. Try to draw a circle. 최대한 perfectly, 최대한 완벽한 원을 한번 그려보세요. The concept of a perfect circle is that all the points on the line has to have the exact same distance from the center, right? And then with that concept in your mind, try to draw a as perfect a circle as possible. And then show it to the teacher, everybody. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. Oh, it looks like it was drawn with a compass. It looks pretty good. But Is any of them is a really, really perfect circle, everybody?
No.
No. Even if it was drawn by a computer, even if it was drawn by a machine, there's no such thing as a perfect circle in this world. The perfect circle only exists in our concept, exists in our mind, right? But if you want to like put that into practice, even if it was drawn by a computer, if you use the infinitely magnifying glass, there will be like a small error between, those lines, and not all the lines will be same distance, right? And then so Plato believed that there is a world where the pure concepts belong to. And then the world where the pure concepts reside are not in this real world. Like somewhere, maybe in our head. It's like somewhere else. Yeah? So I'll take another example of this theory. Let's take the concept of beauty. 아름다움. 그치? 아름다움이야. 그치? 그러면은 이제 우리가 사는 세계에는 아름다움 그 자체가 있어요?
아니요.
그거는 이렇게 우리 머릿속에 있는 거지만 we can only find examples of beauty. Oh, somebody like could claim that Ayu is so beautiful. Or you could say, oh no, Suji is so beautiful. Oh, 장원영 is so beautiful. Oh, we can find only examples of a certain concept in this world. The examples are not perfect. They're never perfect. And on the other hand, Plato believed that there is like a world of forms where all the pure concept of forms belong to, such as the perfect concept of the circle, the perfect concept of justice, beauty, courage. That's what he believed. Yeah. And then he thought that the knowledge that we gain in this world, they can never be perfect, because the knowledge that we gain in this world are gained through our five senses: third vision, sense of olfactory sense, and then sense of hearing, and sense of taste. 우리는 오감에 의존해서 knowledge를 얻잖아요. 우리 이 세계에서는요. 근데 우리 오감이 완벽한가요, 여러분? No, they're not perfect. 자, 이거 보세요, 여러분. Look at this image. So there's a pencil dipped into a cup, half filled with water. What does the pencil look to you, everybody? It looks like it's bent. 우리는 시각에 의존해서 정보를 얻는데 이거 구부러졌잖아. 이거 구부러진 거야. So our senses are deceptive. They deceive us. They're not perfect. So he believes that the knowledge that we gain, because they're all based on our five senses, they can never be perfect. And there's like a world somewhere, maybe in our head, maybe like in another world, there's the reality, the true reality exists. So he believes that we humans are just like prisoners locked inside a cave. So there are prisoners like this, and then we call this cave analogy 동굴의 비유라고 부르는 거예요. 그쵸? 그래서 우리가 살고 있는 이 세상은요, 사실 동굴입니다. According to Plato. 그리고 실제로 얘는 선인장일 뿐이거든요. 그래서 이 실제 존재하는 현실은 어딘가에 존재하지만 우리는 그걸 절대 볼 수 없어요. 왜냐면 we're only looking at the shadows of the reality. So when we are locked inside the cave and then we're looking at only the shadows of the reality, when we look at the shadow, 인명이다. This is a dinosaur. This is a monster, flying monster. But the reality is the cactus. Yeah. So 그래서 이게 우리가 사는 세상이고, 이게 우리의 완전하지 않은 그런 감각으로 얻는 완전하지 않은 knowledge이고요. 근데 그 reality는 알 수 없다라고 말했어요. That's the cave knowledge that Plato thought of. Yeah. So I introduced two philosophers. Discussion question. 요거를 적어 오는 거 알겠지? Do you agree with Socrates' argument that only the life that questions is worth living? 질문 던지는 삶만이 가치가 있다 라고 하는 플레이토의 주장에 동의하십니까? Do you believe that questioning is that important to determine a person's morality? 질문하는 태도가 그 사람의 도덕성을 결정할 정도로 중요하다라고 생각하나요? Please support your argument with examples from real life, current issues or history. 그냥만 말하면 안 되고요. 실생활 아니면은 시사 이슈 아니면은 역사에서 example을 가져가서 여러분의 이거를 뒷받침하시고 10문장을 쓰는 건데 10줄이 아니에요. 그리고 한 문장이 너무 짧아. If you write short and choppy sentences, 10 sentences, 그러면 그 문장은 0.5문장으로 카운트가 될 거예요. 그러니까 막 길 필요는 없지만 그래도 어느 정도 reasonable length of sentences 10문장 써오시는 거야. 그쵸?
한 퀘션에 10문장이요?